I want to welcome you to the special meeting of the Governing Board. It's July 27th, 2022. Mrs. Nye, could you please do our roll call?
Barb Moston.
Here.
Jason Pollard.
Here.
Laura Bruner.
Here.
Lindsay Love.
Here.
Joel Ward.
Here.
Thank you, Mrs. Nye. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. We have some routine business to start with, and that is to approve the minutes of the July 13th, 2022 regular board meeting. Could I please get a motion?
Madam President, I'd like to move that we approve the minutes of the July 13th, 2022 regular board meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion. All those in favor of approving the minutes of the July 13th, 2022 regular board meeting, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. This evening, we will be having a public hearing on the truth and taxation notice. And this evening, I believe that Heather Caviar is going to be presenting at the podium concerning our public hearing. Mrs. Caviar.
Okay, Madam, can you hear me? Is it on? Okay. Madam President and members of the board, Arizona Revised Statute 15-905.01 requires notice and public hearing for any school district whose aggregate budgeted expenditures in specified categories exceed the base expenditure year of 1999 to 2000. Additionally, the school district must publish its truth and taxation notice in a newspaper of general circulation at least 10 days prior to holding the public hearing. Due to a newspaper error, the notice was not published 10 days prior to the truth and taxation hearing conducted on July 13, 2022. To ensure full compliance with the letter and spirit of the law, the board will conduct an additional truth and taxation hearing. Following the hearing, the board may ratify its earlier action approving the district budget for fiscal year 2023. The following was published at least 10 days prior to this meeting in the Arizona Republic. In compliance with 15-905.01 Arizona Revised Statutes, Chandler School District is notifying its property taxpayers of Chandler School District's intention to raise its primary property taxes over the current level to pay for increased expenditures in those areas where the governing board has the authority to increase property taxes for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022. The Chandler School District is proposing an increase in its primary property tax levy of $2.5 million. The amount proposed above will cause Chandler School District's primary property taxes on a $100,000 home to be $7.18. Without the tax increase, the total taxes that would be owed would have been 30 cents. You've already approved this last time. What we are asking for you tonight is to ratify the earlier action to meet the spirit of the law.
Thank you, Mrs. Caviar. Is there any other additional presentation that you will be making this evening on this?
No other additional presentation.
Okay, thank you. Could I please get a motion? I'm sorry. We would not be voting on this quite yet because that will be in our action items in a little bit. Are there any questions for Ms. Caviar? All right. Are there any questions from the public, from the audience? All right. If none, then we will move on to our action items. Thank you, Mrs. Caviar. We appreciate it. Oh, you may want to stay up there because you are going to need the microphone for the next section. I'm sorry. Our next is the supplemental truth and taxation notice and hearing/ratification of the district budget for fiscal year 2023. Mrs. Caviar.
Okay. So, Madam President and members of the board, Arizona Revised Statutes 15-905.01 requires notice and public hearing for any school district whose aggregate budgeted expenditures in specified categories exceed the base expenditure year of 1999 to 2000. Additionally, the school district must publish its truth and taxation notice in a newspaper or general circulation at least 10 days prior to holding the public hearing. Due to a newspaper error, the notice was not published 10 days prior to the truth and taxation hearing conducted on July 13, 2022. To ensure full compliance with the letter and spirit of the law, the board will conduct an additional truth and taxation hearing. Following the hearing, the board may ratify its earlier action approving the district budget for fiscal year 2022. The following was published at least 10 days prior to this meeting in the Arizona Republic. In compliance with 15-905.01, Arizona Revised Statutes, Chandler Unified School District is notifying its property taxes or taxpayers of Chandler School District's intention to raise its primary property taxes over the current level to pay for increased expenditures in those areas where the governing board has the authority to increase property taxes for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022. The Chandler School District is proposing an increase in its primary property tax levy of $2.5 million. The amount proposed above will cause Chandler School District's primary property taxes on a $100,000 home to be $7.18. Without the tax increase, the total taxes that would be owed would have been 30 cents.
Thank you. I believe we also have Mrs. Berry on the line. Did you have any additional information that you wanted to share with us, Mrs. Berry?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Then could I please get a motion to ratify the supplemental truth and taxation tax increase as outlined in the notice?
Madam President, I make a motion to ratify, or I recommend that we ratify the supplemental truth and taxation tax increase as outlined in the notice.
Second.
Is there any discussion from the board or questions? Okay, all those in favor of ratifying the supplemental truth and taxation tax increases outlined in the notice, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. And next we have the employee compensation revision. Dr. Nance. Thank you again, Mrs. Caviar.
Madam President, members of the board, due to additional school funding that recently became available from the state of Arizona, the Super Q Committee, which is the district's negotiating team comprised of certified support and administrative staff, held 2 meetings in July to review the additional funding allocated to Chandler Unified School District from the state of Arizona. Each employee group at that time also received a financial update from Mrs. Berry on the revised budget for 2022-23 school year. Using this additional information, the Super Q team refined and revised compensation recommendations to present for governing board approval tonight. We've attached a document for you that also refers to what was approved last March, but I'd like to go over the additional recommendations at this time. It's recommended that we increase our support staff salaries by an additional $2 per hour. For reference, that equates to about 6% for our exempt staff. So the $2 is hourly, the 6% exempt. Certified staff and administrative raises of an additional 5%. An additional retention stipend for support and administrators. I have to compliment, this was the suggestion of our certified members on the Super Q team who wanted to use the 301 funds for their stipend in order to free up M&O money for our support staff. Then we have a certified retention stipend of $1,500, an additional one for our certified staff. We have our PD menu of items. We have for 8 hours, we did this similar last year, but it's recommended to continue 8 hours of professional development for $1,500. If they choose to only complete 4 hours, it would be $750. 2 hours of that will be mandatory mental health awareness training within that pocket of anything they choose. We have a market adjustment, adding an additional $1 million that can be used for compression, for market adjustments on equity levels within bands, and that would apply to all groups, support staff, certified, and administrators. Recommendation to adjust all of our salary schedules by the appropriate increase that just took place. So our certified and administrative entry max would move by 5%. Our support hourly would be the $2, and that equates to the 6% for our support exempt. In addition, we've attached our supplemental salary schedule. We've updated all the amounts for you, but on our supplemental salary schedule, we do have stipends that are based on minimum wage amounts, as well as the new base of the teacher salary. So on your supplemental salary schedule, you'll notice we increased our substitute rates to $170 for a daily rate and $200 for our long-term. This in turn increases the amount for our own staff who happen to cover on a prep should a sub not be available. We also had changes needed for the substitute compensation rates for our hourly positions, and so those have been updated as attached. And in addition, some of ours that are based on our other base salary and also the minimum wage, we had some of our tutoring amounts had some adjustments. We had our athletic, non-event support and certified employees, the trainers, Band Tech 1, Band Tech 2, Saturday school interventions, miscellaneous certified assignments, and our weight room supervisions are some of the ones that were adjusted as well. We recommend approval of the revised employee compensation schedule as attached, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Nance. Could I please get a motion on this agenda item?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the revised employee compensation for the 2022-2023 school year.
Second.
Great. Are there any questions or comments from board members? Mrs. Brunner?
I just wanted to thank Representative Jennifer Pollock for reaching out to us multiple times this year about the budget and what that might look like for our employees. And although the percentage isn't going to match what the inflation rate is in Arizona, hopefully it will provide some relief to our staff members of all employee groups. And I also wanted to thank the district administration for including the employee groups in the decision-making. I know some districts did not do that, and I think it's really important that we always include our classified support staff and our certified educators in the decisions on how things are distributed, and just thank you to everyone who was a part of that.
Are there any other comments? Dr. Nance, just a couple of questions. When you talk about the market adjustments, could you kind of explain what those all entail for the public, so that we, and for us, so that we know that, what types of things will you be doing? And is it done as a group, or is it done on an individual basis? How do you handle compression? What about specific groups that may be kind of underpaid for what the market is? Could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. We actually do both of those things. So for a whole group, we have been working with our department leads and directors on updating all of our job descriptions to make sure they are an accurate reflection of what's taking place, because we know our schools have changed over the past couple of years and the responsibilities that have been added onto people. So when we're reviewing job descriptions, we have an outside consultant we work with, and if the pay range for that position needs changed, then everybody in that range will receive an adjustment. The other thing we look at is the compression, where the top of one position, for instance, the top of the certified scale and the bottom of the administrative scale overlap. Then we work on some adjustments to increase those. We also have completed a project on support staff. We're in the middle of it on certified staff, verifying years of experience outside and inside of CUSD. So then we're looking at where they are along the range, as far as are they at the median, are they where we would expect the moves to be, and then we do some internal, and that's personalized by the person, of a market adjustment if it's needed for them.
Great, thank you. And are there any other questions or comments? Mr. Narducci, did you have any comments on this?
Well, I did. We're working on thank you, first of all, for your approval tonight. I think many of our employee groups have been waiting for this and have been waiting to see what we're doing. So thank you for the support you provide. All of our employee groups, as we know, we're trying to keep our market share. We're trying to attract and retain the best. And we know that when we attract and retain the best, that is the only significant difference we have in making an impact on a student's educational pathway. It's the relationship that the student has with the adults and that the adults have among each other that makes a good causal factor for success for our students. And so in order to attract and retain, we've got to make sure that people can have a livable wage. And I think we're getting closer to that and have a lot more to do as a state, but we'll take what we have and keep working toward that. We will get a communique out to our staff this evening. Important for our staff to note that we'll make those adjustments in salaries coming up at HR's.
If approval takes place in the next few minutes,
Everybody probably thinks that's coming tomorrow.
I have to compliment, honestly, the HR team and the business team. They've been working tirelessly, along with some of our tech partners. But we anticipate everybody's new rate will be active August 11th. Any retro pay for our certified and administrators will be respread in that salary position. For our hourly, their new rate will start then. It just takes a little bit longer to work out the retro, so all of their retro pay will be by August 25th.
So there is no easy button, is what I was getting to, on how we maneuver midway through a pay period. So the retroactive, which this will be, will take a little longer because we have to see with our hourly employees how much they worked, how much overtime they worked during that time. They almost have to look at every employee individually. So that's going to take a little more time. So we're going to update our communique out to let staff know that, yes, the pay changes are effective now, but that the retroactive will take a little longer because our staff has to get through all of that individually, so we make sure we're paying the right ranges for individuals. So lots of work, and yes, again, thank you, our HR team, our tech team, and everybody that has to make changes in the systems in the middle of the year. So, but again, we'll do that for the trade-off of the additional pay for our staff.
And one more question. Do contracts have to be modified, or was there enough, was the language within the contract sufficient to allow us to do this raise without having to redo 5,000 contracts with everybody?
We absolutely do not have to redo our contracts.
Good.
But we will be sending out an addendum to all employees so they see what their new rate is.
Rate is, okay.
And so we have a one-pager that will be launched out so they can see their new hourly rate or their new salary rate.
Thank you. And I do also want to express my appreciation to the legislature and the governor for helping school districts manage the inflation that we've been seeing in the state, and that this certainly helps. It doesn't completely mitigate it, but it certainly helps. And I express my appreciation that they cared enough about the teachers and schools within the state that they were willing to give us some additional funding so that we can manage the inflation rate a little bit better. So, and make that go directly to our staff, who are the ones really who are bearing the brunt of this horrible inflation right now. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? All right, all those in favor of approving the revised employee compensation for the 2022-2023 school year, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That is all we have for this evening. I will need board member signatures on a document, and if you could please come over after the meeting and start signing in there, I'd appreciate it, and this meeting is adjourned.